I'm Kenny from Pro Tool Reviews, and Milwaukee's made some big improvements to a couple of popular lights. We got our hands on them early so that we could compare them to the first generation. And, well, those original lights were solid to begin with, but the new ones, they're impressive on a different scale, making huge improvements in both runtime and output. Up first is the M18 Rover dual power floodlight. Now this is the 2366 if you happen to like model numbers, and it upgrades the 2360. And there's several key areas where there's improvements, but there are a couple things that are the same as well. For starters, it now has a top handle to make carrying easier. It still sports keyholes to make hanging easier and an AC port so you can use an extension cord to power it instead of a battery. Milwaukee made the pivoting action fluid instead of having stops, and it drops from 240 degrees of pivoting action down to 120. Now, considering you can just flip that light around to get your other 120 degrees back, we don't think that's too big of a deal. Particularly illuminating are the improvements that Milwaukee made to the output itself. You now get 33% more, that's 4,000 lumens, and they're still using their TrueView LEDs to give you that accurate color representation. And even though you get more output, you also get more runtime. The 2360 ran for 9 hours at 650 lumens in low. Now the new model, the 2366, it runs for 12 hours at 1200 lumens. So not only does it have more runtime, it does it with almost twice the output. We saw impressive gains in high as well. Originally you could get 3000 lumens for 2 hours, but now you can get 4000 lumens for 3 hours, again using that same 5 amp hour battery. Not surprisingly, Milwaukee also upgraded the durability of this light. It has a sealed spring door over the AC port, and now the whole thing carries an IP54 rating against dust and water. It also has a 1 meter drop test rating, which we successfully tested. It's even a little more compact, trimming about a half a pound of weight. Switching over to the Rocket series, the new 2136 M18 Rocket Tower Light Charger replaces the 2135. One of the first things we noticed is that the LEDs tuck into an area lighting shroud. Now that's going to let you provide 360 degrees of light even without extending the neck or the legs. And we noted a longer carry rail, and this gives 2 rails for the handle to slide along, and it shifts the release over to the side away from the thumb where you might be tempted to hit it while you're carrying the light. Setup still takes about 5 seconds, and the 3 banks of LEDs pivot independently so that you can really customize where you put that light. More importantly, it gives you multiple grip positions to balance out the weight no matter whether you're using a 5 amp hour battery or that larger 12 amp hour high output. The AC port and charging functions are still there, but the new model adds a 2.1 amp USB charging port along with a handy place to set your phone. The Rocket Tower Light Charger keeps the IP54 rating and the same extended and collapsed measurements while beefing up the weight a little bit to 21 pounds. Now let's dig into the output itself because this is impressive. The upgraded 2136 produces 6,000 lumens of LED light, and as you might guess, Milwaukee's using their TrueView LEDs. But the big deal is that this doubles the output of the 2135. The original 2135 ran for 4 hours on high, but the more efficient technology of the 2136 runs for 3.5 hours with twice the output on the same battery. Milwaukee wraps it all up in a new carry bag that's easier to get your light in and out of and easier to carry. All those upgrades sound great, but there's still the question of how much more you're going to have to pay for them compared to the first generation. Well, how does no additional charge sound to you? Serious upgrades for no additional charge? Now that's pretty cool. Thanks for giving us a few minutes of your time to learn about Milwaukee's newest lighting solutions. Be sure to subscribe to Pro Tool Reviews on YouTube and check out ProToolReviews.com for the latest reviews, new products, buying guides, and helpful tool tips from the pros.